Hi, this is Ed and Lynn Strock, pro-life chair couple, and welcome to the Winter Leadership Conference. And we would like to share with you an update on building that culture of life. To take a step back, if you recall back at the Summer Leadership Conference, we talked about challenges and opportunities and pathways for building that culture of life.
So Ed, why don't you remind everybody about those pathways?
Certainly. Thanks, Lynn. Is the pathways of building that culture of life. And as a reminder that we engage and involve our knights in building that culture of life through the prayer, taking action, standing up, and giving.
Ed and I would really like to thank you for continuing to build those cultures of life.
And certainly, and the councils have been busy, very busy since the summertime, which we truly appreciate. Some of the pictures you'll see for the thank yous there are the ultrasound initiatives. We had 5 dedications take place since that time throughout the state, in Petoskey, and Brighton, Ypsilanti, Grand Haven, Muskegon, all successful and all done in a very safe and conducive environment, and the restrictions that were placed on us during this time. Also, can't forget about the We Are Not Giving Up on Life, the virtual event. We've started or rekindled, if you will, the relationship with Protect Life of Michigan, the students and our young professionals throughout the state. And the Novena for Life, going back to the Prayer for Life, for all the novenas that the councils have put on. We truly appreciate that. And if you recall, it was only a couple months ago, we had the general election that took place. And it was us, Brother Knights, that helped getting out that vote for securing and trying to build that culture of life.
So let's talk about the first pathway.
So Prayer for Life. Back in the October edition of the Columbian, I highlighted the Mass for people with special needs. And I bring this up again because if your councils haven't sponsored a Mass for people with special needs, maybe now is the time to go back and look at your planning calendar and gain that support with your pastor, the faith formation ministers or leaders, and those in the parish and your civic leaders as well. That we use this mass for people with special needs to let them know that we certainly care about all of God's people.
Thanks, Ed. Now let's move on to taking action for life and why this is so important.
Yeah, so we're having great success with the ultrasound initiative. And as I talk to the directors at the various pregnancy centers, it's crystal clear that they need help as well. And that's why we put the tagline of adopting a pregnancy center. That councils, there's certainly a lot of things that you can do, and just the material, labor, spiritual support for those pregnancy centers. Just as also that that's a Supreme Feature Program where you can earn 2 credits toward the Columbian Award. There are over 100 pregnancy centers throughout the state of Michigan, and they fall under two major categories or organizations. One is Heartbeat International, and then the other one is CareNet. And there's a listing of all the pregnancy centers under those 2 organizations that are on the state website. So I would encourage your councils to, if you take the opportunity, at least one, get to know the pregnancy centers or center in your area, and if you can, adopt them and give them all the help that you can.
Sounds like those councils have some work to do.
Yeah, they do. And just maybe as a final note, just keep in mind that from a standpoint of what these pregnancy centers do, these are like the small franchises throughout the state, and compared to some of the big box abortion centers, if you will, we have our work cut out for us.
So let's move on to the next one, standing up for life.
Here we go. The Love Life, Choose Life. That's the sign that's available at Supreme, and that's leading up to the March for Life that's planned on January the 29th in Washington, D.C. In the past, we've had busloads of people that have gone from our parishes throughout the state, as well as the carloads of families and friends, and our students and our young adults that have taken place and gone to Washington. This year, it's different. It is really different, and you may want to consider local marches that are planned throughout the state. So a couple places for information on those, and one is the righttolife.org. And then the next slide, I'll show you, there's a listing of the ones that we know of at this time. And then finally, it is a Supreme featured program where you can earn 2 credits toward the Columbian Award. Now, for the Supreme featured programs, the requirements are listed on the Supreme website as well. So please take note of that.
Wouldn't it be nice for the councils to publicize these and to get the local marches out and participate if they can?
Well, they certainly would. And if they have the ability and they're, the strive to do that, that would be great. So, throughout the state, as I mentioned, here's the listing of the ones that we're familiar with right now, beginning on January 17th and rolling out through the end of the month on the 27th. Iosca County, Sanilac, Roscommon, Hillsdale, Ogemaw, Holland, in downriver area, Wyandotte, and finally at the state capitol in the Lansing-Ingham County area is the last one there on the slide. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're here to defend life, and this is certainly one way for us to get out and make our presence known that we have for decades. For decades, we've certainly been behind those marches.
So let's move on to the last pathway, which I know Ed and many of you all have personal experience with.
Yeah, so that personal experience in the last pathway is the Giving for Life. And certainly there's a number of different ways for giving, but this one we'd like to highlight, and that's through blood donations. And that's what I did recently is gave blood at the parish, actually. And whether you're donating blood or your council supports or sponsors a blood drive is another wonderful way to give for life. And the individual councils and members are encouraged to donate, if they can. So on behalf of Lynn and I, in building those pathways of life through prayer, taking action, standing up and giving, we certainly hope this message gets to all the councils. And if you have any questions, please contact us with the information below. God bless.
So, Ed, do you think that they'll mind a little post conversation from us?
There's a great group of guys, Lynn, so I don't think so.
Well, do you think that the district deputies and councils will respond to the building of the culture of life message?
I certainly do.
Good. Looks like you got something else you want to say, though.
Yeah, I do. I just want to make sure that we got that message across that during this COVID period, that there's things that the councils and districts can do. And for example, that, with the ultrasounds, we talked about the 67th ultrasound dedication, but there's 8 other ones that are taking place, and they're in various stages for the ultrasound. Also for the Mass for People with Special Needs, that, there's an opportunity possibly for a second collection for either St. Louis Center or St. Francis Camp on the Lake. And also, I don't know if you had the opportunity, but to read the article from our state chaplain, Paul Boleen. Oh, a fantastic article on the pro-life message and a life message. So Father Paul, thank you for that. And then finally, because they can go out and these councils can go out and do things that they would consider having a program that they've done and submitting a service program for the service program award that we do through the state every year. Great thing to do. And finally, I truly hope that they rise up and answer the call for building a culture of life.